And hello, everyone. Welcome to This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing, live show number 149. That's right, 149 contiguous episodes of weekly happy information about hospitality digital marketing. With me yet is any of my co-hosts, so I will be soloing our initial efforts, which is actually kind of fun every once in a while. That way I can always get a word in edgewise. Next week, we are all going to be crazy insane running around. For those who go and join HITEC, all of my co-hosts will be there as well. So I think Tim Peter, he's doing something else. I'm not sure. But for everyone else, I know that Mr. Stuart Butler will have a booth on the floor at HITEC. For those who do not know what HITEC is, it is the Hospitality Industry Technology and Electronics Conference. Remember the C had to be for something. It is, wow, I think they're expecting 7,000 people attendance. There's a couple of thousand booths on the floor, or 900 and over 1,000 booths on the floor. Everything technology based as well as service based. You have everything from TV service providers, PMS system, POS systems, interfaces, a lot of revenue management yields, guest services, softwares. There's a lot of fun stuff to see. It's kind of layered. Interestingly, you have your old established large booth people that are really there to reaffirm relationships that they currently have and solicit, because of that, interest in their products. Then you have those that are in the space that have been doing well, that need to have a presence to reaffirm their value proposition. And then you have the newbies, usually on row 10,000. And it's where they've kind of put in all their shekels together to get a booth with a single table, with the hopes that they can garner attention and interest for their innovations as to what they're trying to develop. There you see a lot of similarities of people that are offering products that are to market, slightly variant to that what is already in market. And then you have some that are very innovative and brand new to market, and you wonder whether there's a durability to them. Then you see a lot of similarities of those new things coming to market. We've gone through our generations of technology when apps were the thing, and new technologies for TV were the thing. And back in the day, we're going back 15 years, I would say that there was a tremendous amount of booths about pretty much things like housekeeping, efficiencies, machines, and so forth that worked better, engineering things, phone systems, and those things have all gone eventually to the wayside of technological advancements. And what you have now is a lot of revenue-based softwares. You have a lot of services related to the improvement of marketing, less operational stuff. I mean, it's kind of settled into a bit of a groove with some of these things where you have your traditional brand-based value services that are there that aren't in the show because they don't need to be, they're brand-related. Then you have a lot of businesses and services that are trying to mimic brand. Hello, Mr. Robert. How are you today this morning, sir?
Hey, I apologize for being late.
I will, I don't know if it's a demerit system we have. I'll have to come up with something. Maybe just sit in the corner. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure something.
Well, it's even worse than that. I may have a call with a client in 20 minutes, but I may not. We'll have to find out. I have a third party involved who's telling me that I may need to be somewhere at exactly 11 a.m. Central. So, or a couple minutes before.
What was the first rule of Fight Club, aka hosting on the show? There is no such thing as clients.
Family, yes, exactly. Nothing. Yeah, family.
Family.
What are your mixed priorities?
Yes, there is only one priority to this show as a co-host, and that is the show. Okay, first rule of the show is only the show.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering. Yeah, wasn't it last week that it was just really pretty much the two of us as
just
well?
Just the two of us. You can make it if you tried.
If you're going to sing,
we're going to be spending all next week together too. It's not bad enough we get to see each other each week. We get to go spend all next week together. I was kind of recapping a little of the HITEC, what to expect kind of stuff. It looks like it's going to be good size. I mean, what they expecting? 7,000 hoteliers.
There's like
over 1,000 booths. How many booths? Did you know off the top of your head how many booths are in the?
Have not counted them. There are a lot though, because they have a nice little interactive tool for people who are going. If you've registered, you can go in and they have the floor, and you can actually go and check where the booths are, so you can see before, which they always had kind of the map before, and they might have done this interactive thing before. I'm not sure. I never used it, but you can go check on the people, and you can even put like little notes on it, which is great. They don't have full calendar They don't have full calendar integration. I mean, you can really do some very, very interesting things in that area, but it's a good start. So at least you can start seeing where things generally are and who you have to meet with, and
make a bit of a roadmap to the process, I guess, to it. I know for myself, I'm thinking about hitting the floor Tuesday, pretty much up until the time I have to go play with HSMAI on their think tank in the afternoon, and then Thursday I was going to hit the morning until they closed up shop 1 or 2 o'clock that day and try to finish off. I tend to base my schedule of pattern on the floor based on a Chotsky scale. The cooler the Chotsky, the more I'm interested in your product. The more frequently I return with my bag of goodies.
Drink cozies are not a big, Now,
cozies and stress squishies, I've kind of got boxes of them still from my phase where I was going through the squishy phase. Now I'm looking for cute, innovative. I don't have one of those things.
like iMac Pros or
like iMac Pros, like Xboxes or anything else that you might feel like you want to give away. I'm actually, the little window closers for cameras on your laptop and computers. I think I promised a half a dozen people that I will grab whatever ones are around, and I'm expecting, because they're a bit of a popular thing right now, that a lot of people will have that wonderful little shutter slide that goes across your camera on your laptop that you can stick on there. So I'll be grabbing handfuls of those, acting vaguely interested in your product, whilst I shovel boxes of them into my bag.
See, my family pretty much banned tchotchkes. Because I would bring stuff back because I had kids, right? Hey, how would you like a such and such?
A squishy Slippo person thing.
Oh yeah, and some of them were okay. You'd get a couple hours of benefit, and then they just collected in God knows where, right? Yeah. So.
And I have boxes of. Actually, I used to, as a part of my office decorum, I would have shelves of all these things because they're kind of cute. Because when I was in agency life, when I had people come to my office, they were there to be played with and talked about and just messed with and so forth. Just fun things to do, keep this conversation going. But now that my foot traffic is lower and my dialogue is virtual, I don't need shelves of Chotsky squishy things hanging around for people to play with while they talk to me. I don't have to put a real toy for people to
while they talk to you. Oh, okay. Yes, see, I always had things in my office where people could just kind of, go thumb through them if I was on the phone or got interrupted or they're waiting for me or something.
No, I was that kid that had to have the toys that everybody wanted, so they come over to my house and play. I've kind of kept that pattern in my life.
Well, my little items were an authentic hand grenade, a real hand grenade that had been drilled out, which I don't think you could have in offices these days. Probably not the
positive thing to have in your office. Just times have changed, Robert.
I'd use it as a paperweight, right? And so I'd have that. I had a can of Spam, which had a interesting story, which we wound up having kind of as a joke at one presentation that we did. So I kind of hung on to that. I had a little tiny book of travel quotes, and they could go look through some of those for interesting quotes, and a couple of other little items.
What are some things that you're?
A hand grenade was a conversation starter.
Oh well, yeah. Also probably a point of fear too, but that's they
go. What is this? And I would say. We'll find out how the conversation goes.
Just don't pull that pin, and we'll see what happens. What are you looking for this year in HITEC? What are some of the places you're trying to peek at?
I am going to. I actually have 2 clients who are working on 2 different things, so I am going to be running around, looking a little bit. There aren't really that many digital agencies who are exhibiting, but really talking to a lot of the vendors of who are the best folks to work with from like a digital, who's really got it going on and really understands stuff from kind of the technology side, like who's really good to work with. Well, of course, yeah. But
I could save you some ticket money right now. Just hey, you're
exactly. Yeah. So no, but I really need to kind of get a perspective on that because that will start informing my decisions there. And then the second one I can't really talk about because it's a little bit more strategic on the technology side, but I'm really looking at who's doing the best work from an underlying architecture perspective. That's going to be a hot topic, I believe. So, and it looks like we have Ed St. Ange.
I don't know. Last week he surprised us, so it could be whoever he happened to give his promotional key to. So You know,
Oh,
it could
that's
be
right.
it could be Peter Pan and Captain Hook for all we know. I mean, he is a Disney fan, so he might have brought in some cast of characters. We just don't even know it yet. But with that said, HITEC kicks off Monday night. Registration is Monday afternoon. Tuesday's full-blown floor, and also the presentations are that day, or is that the presentations Wednesday?
I think they start Monday.
Holy
They
shit!
have the education session. Education sessions start on Monday and fairly early, I believe.
Wow.
I think there were some at 10 or 11. I'm actually driving down from Dallas, so.
Now, Ed does have a party going on Monday night, which is an open tab. That's what I heard. And we'll share that on show notes. We'll share that on show.
My understanding was Tim Peter, who's unable to participate at HITEC next.
Is he covering the tab?
He is covering. My understanding.
I thought
for the full week,
digital marketing was covering the tab.
Oh gosh, no. We're just a poor little shop in the middle of nowhere. Now, Robert Cole Enterprises, however, is a massive organization with a tremendously deep pocket.
No, Rock Cheetah. Our motto is deep pockets, short arms. So.
T-Rex arms.
I go and I take a bunch of smart people who wanted to get together, and I say, hey, do you guys mind if I invite the guys from the show? And the two of you go and make it this. I mean, gosh.
Well, we already know there was attrition as soon as you mentioned that. We already know that most of the people say, oh, them, hey, wow, what did I forget? Oh, yeah, paint drying. Got to go check it out.
Seriously. I put something nice together, and I'm like, this would be good for Lauren and Robert to be able to, meet some people
social stigmas.
Right, who do things in the industry. And you go and you embarrass me.
And Lauren,
without even getting there. We did it without even being there yet.
But Lauren is such a conversationalist. I mean, you'll start talking about hospitality stuff at one of these things, and then he'll start talking about his survivalist bunker. And it just helps the party move forward, I think.
Doesn't everyone need one? I mean, come on, look who's in charge.
Exactly.
I have boxes of sugar spec cornflakes, so I got to bring them back because they're bad, I guess. But anyway, what do you look for, Mr. Ed? What are you looking for when you get on the floor?
Actually, I think it's interesting.
We've already covered tchotchkes. Lauren goes for tchotchkes, just so you know.
I hate the tchotchkes. We when we exhibit at places, we have the crap giveaway that you just put on the table for the people who are literally only walking by for tchotchkes, and then we have the premium giveaways for the people who actually want to talk.
I know how to work past that system. I know how to work past that system. I can look genuinely interested in just about anything.
Yes.
Yeah. Lauren is one of the guys who walks up to your booth and goes, wow, yeah, I have a client who is like really, really interested in what do you do?
And that's when you go, wow, okay, bring your client by. I'd be happy to talk.
Yeah.
I am. Oh no, I can bounce that around all day long. And you know what? Yeah. What's your name? My name is Robert Cole.
So it's interesting. I wasn't going to go, and then I had two considerable prospects ask me if I was going to be there, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'm going to be there. I now have a packed schedule. It's unbelievable. Like I think you said, Robert, I have like breakfast to late night pretty much spoken for.
Right.
But I'm actually, what's interesting is I'm there during the day to meet with partners. So I'm actually excited about meeting with Pegasus, which, by the way, we all know they have a new employee that we all know, and I'm excited to see what they're doing. The last time I had talked to them was about 2 HITECs ago, basically pre-deployment of the new CRS, and so I'm looking forward. It's from what I've heard, they've launched their CRS, their complete new build. So. Yeah.
Well,
so
that will be something really to definitely take a look at.
Yeah.
Oh, now we irritated Tim again.
Tim comes and goes.
He teases like that. And if he was at HITEC, you would see that. He would kind of pop in and people go, oh, Tim Peters here. And then all of a sudden he'd walk back out. He makes several grand entrances. That's just kind of what he does.
That's how Tim does.
Anticipation and wants to be noticed.
Are either of you going to go to any of the educational sessions?
No, I bought an exhibitor pass. So
yep, me too.
Or an exhibition pass, whatever it's called.
Right.
I only have a pass to get to the exhibitions and then the opening party.
Yes,
because Flo Rida is performing. It's not Florida. For those of you who maybe don't know who Flo Rida is, it's definitely not Florida.
Flo Rida is doing a lot of corporate events these days because performed for Marketo, actually. As well, so big high ticket, large attendee base, so they can get up the fee. But seems to be doing quite a few of.
Can you hear us? Okay, Tim.
I'm sorry, Tim Peter.
There we go.
Can you hear us?
Yeah. There.
There he is.
Hi, Mr. Tim Peter.
Hello. Sorry, I'm running late. I had all the technical issues in the world trying to get in today for some reason.
What?
I'm on browser.
That doesn't happen with this show.
I'm on browser number 3.
Hey, we were just kind of bouncing around what we were planning on doing on the floor of HITEC, but you're not going to be there for the floor sessions, are you?
I am not going to be there, and unfortunately, I will not be at HITEC this year. I'm going to be actively watching everybody's tweets and Facebook streams, and Lauren walking around with a camera for 4 days.
You have the head-mounted GoPro again, Lauren? Is that,
I was going to go head-mounted 360. Be there as if you were 7 foot tall. Yeah, I was going to put like a little construction hat on, duct tape it on there, put on top, and say, "You're live. Watch out what you say." You know.
One thing I am excited about is where I'm staying. It's a brand that we work with, but I've never stayed at one of their hotels, and it's a very different model, which is club quarters.
Oh yeah,
have you guys heard of them?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So there's a club quarters. It's less than 12-minute walk from the convention center. Yep. And they're supposed to be like the uber awesome place to stay when you're working.
Club quarters are great. I've stayed in the club quarters in New York a couple of times, and I've stayed in the club quarters in Chicago a couple of times. They're fantastic. It's at least from my perspective, this isn't an entirely fair assessment, but it feels more like an apartment than a hotel room, which is a real
and that's intentional. Their whole
right.
is
trying to be very residential.
They're in fantastic neighborhoods.
Yeah.
For you to kind of use as your base when you're in a city working. So because of that, they're meant to feel very much residential.
Yeah.
And they have super fast internet.
As I recall, yeah.
If you're actually part of their club, if you're a member of their club, I believe it's 500 megabits per second.
Cool. Oh, that's very
wow.
Yeah.
So now that we've slipped to go through the HITEC kind of thing, what about
actually, wait, one thing for one additional note for HITEC, Lauren, those education sessions start at 8 a.m. Monday morning. They have changed the schedule around a little bit.
I feel bad for whoever is actually speaking at the 8 a.m. Monday morning, because it's who's going to be there. Sunday is Father's Day.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus travel. Yeah, plus travel. Well, and they're starting with I think 3 concurrent super sessions, and some of these Ted Horner, Nick Price, Fleur Bleeker, those guys. It's for CIOs. Super session investing in technology, which should be fairly good. And another one on data security, right? Which you'd have to pick one between those three, but they kind of came out. And Ted's great. He speaks almost every HITEC. So and then they've got 9:45. They do some other concurrent ones. Again with some pretty strong.
So I get in Monday at 3.
Yeah. Just in time to get from the airport to the party. So.
Airport,
Oh,
hotel.
that's on Tuesday. That's on Tuesday night, right? So,
By the way,
is it-
and
there's
I love Houston. I love Houston, but Ed, you said that the hotel where you're staying is 12 minutes from the show floor. In Houston, in June, that's actually 2 shirt changes.
I live in Orlando. I live in Orlando.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
And to also be fair, it's a 12-minute walk. It's a 3-minute Uber.
There you go. There you go. Perfect.
Exactly.
And I sucked a couple other people into booking the property as well. It's amazing that travelers can actually influence other travelers to decide where they want to stay.
Really?
Yeah. So Jim Struna is who also booked late. So he's like, I don't know where I'm going to stay. I'm like, well, I'm staying at the club quarters. It was $179 a night versus, the Hilton at the convention center that wanted, I think, $400 a night.
Ed, if only somebody made a product that really was predicated on getting people to tell their friends and family about places to stay.
You would think
that would be you'd think there'd be a win there.
You think there'd be something there.
I did hear. I heard there was this company, Flip2, that does that, but
Flip.
Flip2.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. I don't know which one that would. Or we're sad trying to play your.
That would be the New Jersey version. Flip off.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Hey, so Mr. Kim,
take the software out of Jersey, but you can't take the Jersey out of the software.
Well, yeah.
You were just in New York, Mr. Tim?
I was in Manhattan. Yeah, I spent the last couple of days in Manhattan doing work for some folks outside the industry, actually. I do work with another group on a conference. But I live 50 miles outside of Manhattan, but I had dinners each night and had to be there at 7:30 in the morning each day. So it was just easier to stay in the city. Where'd
you stay?
The San Carlos.
Oh, nice.
Which nice independent property. The rooms are recently renovated. So the rooms are very, very nice. I will say the HVAC needs a little work. It was very, very humid.
New York problem.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was very humid day before yesterday. Yesterday in New York was rather lovely, but day before was brutally, brutally humid. And so the air conditioning was working overtime. And literally overnight, every time the air conditioning kicked on, it was like an old man wheezing, So I woke up a couple times like, what the hell is that? But the room is really nice. And it's a great location. I was at the 50th and 3rd, so it's a really great spot and very convenient to where I was. So it worked out really well. A nice property and good people, really good service. They did a nice job.
So Westgate just bought their first New York property. And
nice. Yeah.
And it's a great property. It used to be the Hilton Central Station East. Yep. Which is a really neat neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so it's a historic building. It was built in 1913 and was actually the first residential high-rise in New York.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
yep. So they've converted it to Westgate, New York. It's pretty exciting for them. This is their first foray up into that market.
I will tell you, I used to teach for NYU's School of Continuing Ed for a few years, and we did classes.
Like Continuing Ed St. Ange?
Yes.
Like they teach classes about that?
Yes, exactly.
How to put up with me?
Yes, and that's why they got me to be the teacher. But we were in the Woolworth building for many of the classes, which was the first skyscraper in New York City. Is a classic historic building, and I always just loved going there because you just walked into the place and you're like, this is genuinely cool. You don't see a lot of buildings like this very often.
Right.
Did you arrive in New York on Thursday? Did you come in on Thursday?
Did I get into New York on Thursday? No, I was in New York Tuesday through Thursday. I got home last night.
Had dinner or lunch. I was there all week until not all week, but I left Thursday.
Oh, unlike you, when Tim's in New York, he's actually working.
Anywhere that Tim's out, he's actually working. Let's make no confusion to this. Wherever I am, I'm an avoidance of that word.
Now let's be fair. When I was in Mexico a few weeks back, I worked as little as I possibly could. I
I bet your eye didn't go away as you're looking around going, yeah, no, they should be. No. That never goes away.
I was at the Grenville. Well, yeah, a little bit. but I was at the Grenville in Cabo San Lucas, and beautiful property. Had a real, and oddly enough, I'm probably sharing something I shouldn't. I'm outing somebody on social, but I saw on Facebook the other day Neil Agarwal from Milestone was there like 2 weeks after me. I was like, how funny is that? I was just there. Nice property. They do it. They do a really, really nice job.
Cabo has really gone to this super luxury.
Yeah,
my gosh, beautiful stuff out there.
Yeah. We had a leading property when I worked for Leading, which I've been gone from Leading for 7 years, and we were like the old. Actually, that's not true. There were 2 leading properties down there then, and they were really the only game in town.
Yeah,
and now it's hugely that. I will tell you, and I want to be very fair. I thought the Grenville did an excellent job, and I want to be very, very fair about this because they were fantastic across the board. Right, when you're talking luxury, and you guys know this well, and a lot of our audience knows this well. When you're talking luxury, the difference between getting it exactly right and not quite right is noticeable, right? And it's not because you're trying to do an okay job and you don't do a good job. It's because you're trying to do the best possible job, and then it doesn't quite work, and it's noticeable because it's not perfect, right? Which is hard when you're shooting for perfect. And I will tell you, I think where they're hurting in Cabo from that perspective is labor. A lot of the staff did a nice job, but I think there's so much demand for labor in a market that has not historically been known for that. There's still a learning curve to get over there. Yep. They did a great. I want to be really fair. They did a really, really nice job. I mean, this was not like they were shooting for 3-star and didn't make it. They were shooting for 5-star, and we're almost there. It was so close, and it was more a consistency problem than than a anything was terrible problem, right? Mm-hmm. The analogy I always use. I'm a big baseball fan, so I pardon the sports ball analogy for those of you who are not sports ball fans who are watching, but love them or hate them, and I'm not a lover of them. The New York Yankees are always credited as being the best team in baseball, or so that's certainly what they strive to be again and again and again. And when you're striving to be the best player on the best team in all of the sport, and you're, quadruple A, right? You're good enough to make it almost to the major league team, and then you fall just a little bit short, you're still awfully, awfully, awfully good. You're still very, very good. It's not quite perfect at points. The restaurants were great. A lot of the service was really good. The service was always warm and welcoming and friendly. It was just nuance where you missed where it was inconsistent or things like that. That I think labor is. You really see that too. I mean,
there's a couple examples that I know of where really good hoteliers who are very good in like budget have built their vision of a 4-star, and you walk in and you can see, if you know what to pay attention to, you can see. Right. This is not their primary, and you can see it in the building choices and certain aspects of the construction and everything that they definitely still stuck to their their more budget friendly construction.
Oh, sorry, I sneezed.
I thought you actually were saying something in there.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Sure. So a little bit. I mean, HITEC. It's going to be interesting because I was before everyone started joining this morning on the show. I was talking a little bit about kind of the history of HITEC. We follow the trends. Obviously, that's what the conference is for. Is like the app age and the revenue management yielding age and all that stuff that we go through these generations of interest. And I kind of like thought back to the time when a lot of the aisles were filled with housekeeping solution hardware things.
Yeah, sure,
and
sure.
Engineer equipment, HVAC stuff, and that kind of technology. Then it kind of got into the TV technology. What could you do with your TV?
Oh, see, I think in between the TVs getting crazy, there was those few years where it was the CRSs and RMS.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Yes, you're right.
When Sabre and Pegasus and
for a bunch of
years. Right.
Which is when I started going. Actually, I really wasn't there in the earlier days. I started going when it became the very distribution-oriented show.
Yep.
And then then it progressed from that to the software yields and so forth. And I was trying to talk about in the lay of the land. There's those that are well established that literally have to do this to maintain their presence to their large clients and demonstrate their validity in market by having that awareness of the Springer Millers and those guys like we're the big and the bad. And then you have those that are well established but are there now to validate that established perspective by having a decent sized booth to show presence to those that are there. Then you have the other ones that are there as a test. They put all their coins together to put a 6-foot table in aisle 10,000, to pitch off something that if it doesn't work and they don't get enough critical mass, it'll be hard to convince anybody to give them any more money to keep going. Those people.
Yep.
And I was mentioning they're actually the fun ones to hit first, because then if you go back to the mainstream ones, you can kind of compare where they're trying to put a crack in their systems or what they think is exploitive for them to come up with something new and innovative, and compare it against some stuff that is in market and is well established. So, and it's kind of fun to talk to them because they're the most exuberant. They're the most, oh my God, somebody wants to talk to me kind of thing.
And then they realize who you are, and they're like,
don't shatter the dream. Don't shatter the dream, Ed. I walk around as if I'm knowledgeable, capable, and have a client list an arm long. All right, don't kill the dream.
I will tell you, it's funny when I went there. It's funny that you say that. When I went there, I still go almost every year. It's just the last.
All right, who's echoing?
Tim.
I'm on a headset. I'm on a headset.
What's wrong?
Someone's echoing.
We're getting a bad
echoing.
Mute yourself, Lauren. Let's see if it's you.
Yeah, see what's happening. Any better?
Is that better?
Yep.
Is that better?
Maybe.
I'm not hearing anything.
There we go. It's gone.
Okay, so
nope, it's still quiet in the background.
But when I first started going, I worked for what is today Wyndham, was then Cendant and the like, and we had all these properties because we were a franchisor. And it was funny when people would find out I actually couldn't buy anything. Like I could buy distribution technology, I could buy CRS technology, I could buy website technology, but anything related to we want to do the room locks, or we want the door locks. We want to do, things to put in your properties. I was like, yeah, they're all franchised. I have no control over that whatsoever. And neither does anyone else within the organization, really. I'm like, I'm not your guy, man. We look big, but inside it's like 12 of us on a hamster wheel.
You were my favorite person to talk to.
Wow, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to be honest with you, that's a bit of a blind spot for them because it depends on the commitment and the talent that they bring to the booth. I mean,
yeah.
And I'm just going to be really candid about this. They bring eye candy or they bring talent. And the eye candy booths are useless to engage with because the people you're talking to have no clue what they're engaged with.
Well, listen,
the other is
the eye candy booths, though, tend to be like the television booths, which, to be fair, like, what do you expect? It's, a television company. What else? Are they going to bring engineers to talk about their TVs? No, they're like the smartest ones, and I'm sure you'll see it this year. I bet you anything, Samsung's got couches in front of a stack of TVs showing the World Cup, because you're going to get people to spend some time there. It's sad to me that this show is no longer my audience, because I used to love doing this show, and I used to do this show big.
Yeah.
I used to do a large booth and a big party and, put a lot. I mean, I think the last year at Easy Yield, we spent over $100,000 on HITEC.
Well, you did something decent even in New Orleans 2 years ago.
Yeah. And that's really when we hit home that it's not our audience. And what's tough is it's an expensive show to do, even small. So if you're not walking away with $80,000-$90,000 in new business due to the show, it's a tough show to do even as a small effort. And it's partially because the show's so big that if you're I'm still angry about the change of where Rock is. Rock is why the show doesn't work well for us, because we like to talk to revenue management. We in our normal sales process, we talk to revenue managers. You know, but the bottom line is because Rock's on Wednesday now, you know, you basically you don't have the busy day you used to have. Back when Rock was the kickoff, Wednesday was a super busy day because it was everyone who came in for Rock and got the day pass would come in on Wednesday,
right?
And you could see them, and it was really beneficial. When they changed it, which was that year in New Orleans, was the change.
Toronto. Oh no, yeah, New Orleans.
No. It was New Orleans was the change, and then they did Toronto the year after. But when they changed it, it sucked the wind out of your ability to spend some quality time with those people. And let's face it, Rock is a tough place to be an exhibitor because they cram so much in that there's not a lot of discovery happening, right? I mean, it's intense,
right?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it's sad because I love the shows, I love both of them, but it's not effective,
right?
It really isn't, especially when I can go and do other events and get, you know, double the return,
right,
on a much smaller investment,
right.
So,
yeah, which I think becomes, you know, it's funny because obviously for our audience who's watching, you know, most of those folks are not going to be exhibitors; they're going to be folks who are going for the benefit, right? For a different benefit. Let me say that the right way. And the problem is when you lose exhibitors, that also creates problems in terms of content. That also creates problems in terms of things you get exposed to and people to talk to and ways to connect and the like. So that's not good in the long run from that perspective.
Yeah, and I've told both.
Curious to see how this.
I emailed
both to see how this you know, changes over time, right?
Yeah, well, they've done this they did this once in the past too, but they immediately turned back. And you know, when they had done it in the past, I was at Easy Yield and I had emailed both of them because they're both guys I know and have known through the years, where I said, guys, this really screws up both shows. And I did it in New Orleans. I was like, this really screws up both shows. I can't keep doing this. Because when it was good, I was still like right on the edge of being able to justify the show.
Right.
You know, and part of it is I don't sell property management systems. I don't sell something that costs, you know, millions of dollars. I mean, our average cost of Flip2 is a couple $100 a month.
Right.
You know, so you got to sell a lot of those to pay for the $10,000 space plus the $1,500 internet service, plus shipping your booth in and staffing it and all of that. Like it was tough as it was, but moving the two shows made it to where you kind of have to do both shows, but even doing that, you're stretched thin. You don't get as many quality meetings. There's not as much discovery time, I think, for the attendees. So now I'm going to go to this, where every couple of years I'll attend to meet the exhibitors, you know, which I feel good about because I'm not going to Suitcase or anything. I'm literally going to meet with Pegasus and Travel Tripper and Send9 and Sabre.
I'm going to learn stuff. I'm not out to.
Well, I'm going to meet the exhibitors to see if I can do business with them. I mean, that's kind of the purpose of what they're exhibiting for, and I'm there to, you know, see what kind of business I can do with them.
And as much as we keep a hand on the pulse of things that are going on, there is a lot of things that don't surface to notoriety or notifications of things that come up at places like this. That there is that 650 now 10,000. You know.
I'll give you a great example. I mean, the first time I ever encountered, and this seems funny to admit because they're such a big company and they do such great work and stuff, but I never heard of Navis till the first time I ever saw them at HITEC.
Actually, me too. That was the same thing.
And I was kind of like, and at the time they were already well established. They already had a great footprint. They already had some great clients. And I was like, how have I never heard of you guys before?
I'll tell you, it's because of where their primary product was. It was call center.
It was call center, right? Exactly.
Right. I mean, and so, yeah, that didn't cross my line.
No,
I know we want to keep talking about HITEC, but I actually have a question that's related to client relationship. I'm creating a solution, and I think that it actually makes sense to me, and I would love to bounce it from you guys to see how you feel if it still makes sense. there's call center activity I have. And to be fair with my client, they have a terrible call center. They don't have it internally. They're paying for it. They're getting nothing close to what they're paying for. They're at best just handling FIT.
I already know what client it is.
Anyway, so their call center stuff is, and of course, there's nothing close to what Navis does in the sense of the callbacks, the follow-ups. They're not even touching that stuff, let alone handling general traffic. Right. And then I have on the other side over here, I have where we're sustaining social engagement, where we're dialoguing and keeping, and we even have a bot, as much as you hate to know that, we have a bot that actually is built to handle about 75-80% of all level 1 questions coming through. Like, can I get a copy of my receipt?
Right. I have no issue with that.
Right. Yeah. So all this but they're not getting responded to. There's a dysfunction breakdown in the system where even internally with using Trello, we're still not getting them to follow through with stuff. So I'm merging all that into a big heaping pile of happiness and saying the solution really is to get a call center or handle call center stuff collaborated with social engagement, collaborated with level 1 support. You have a person that's there connected to the PMS system, connected to facilitating it, give them the teeth to make it happen, but in the same process, keep the dialogue and the exchanges and the engagements that we have on social platforms up and current. Now, obviously, there's level 2 engagement that they wouldn't handle. True, genuine things that need a supervisor, manager, whatever to go engage with. But to handle that main heavy stream stuff. So is that a weird idea, or is that?
No, not at all. That's how that's the way the large brands all work. Is the call center?
Right. That goes back. What'd you change, Lauren?
What'd I do? That goes back. I didn't do anything.
That goes back. Yeah. No, but Lauren, if you look at the large brands, you look at Marriott, you look at Wyndham, you look at IHG. Over the last bunch of years, they've moved, and I know this is a term you're familiar with. They don't really talk in terms of call centers; they talk in terms of contact centers. Right.
Yeah, right.
So all primary contact starts with those folks. Now, obviously, in this case, it's the brand, but they had the same challenge that you're talking about if you're a small company where, first line support are, minimum wage, just barely better than minimum wage, obviously well trained and the like, but they're not the escalation point, right? And obviously the folks they escalate to are more senior, have been there longer, better experience, better paid, right? Let's put all that together. So there's still an escalation point from that perspective. But yeah, they're definitely handling all first line social, all first line voice, all first line email across the board. And then they have the escalation points of where does it go to from there.
That's actually what drew us to Navis to seek out a partner, because we liked the fact that they started in the call center and all the functionality around that. And because they understood a little bit better the different type of contact that it takes to answer the questions and get someone through the process and everything. And so, being that they came primarily from call center and now have moved into all the other forms of communication that people are using, they had a different depth than the others who have kind of gone the other route. They started in the digital and expanded, not to say that there aren't other good ones besides Navis, but at the time that we started talking to Navis, no one was as deep. Hey.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm a little unclear, Stuart. What is your? Is that a team logo?
Go Germany!
Yeah, I'm pulling for Morocco against Iran. That's my team.
That's your team, Morocco. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey
everyone. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, you made a couple of presents. You kind of made a great present. Even the microphone muffles on the back for your podcast are in the right colors.
Yeah, this is true. This is exactly coordinated.
Ladies
That's
and gentlemen,
why fuel is red and white.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Stuart Butler, fuel travel.
Hey, everybody.
We were talking about high tech, and then I took it off on a tangent. Go figure about the collaboration of social and call center being combined together to kind of keep a level 1 support system in place rather than have it fractioned as I have it with a client right now. Yeah, and I was getting reaffirmation from both Ed and Tim that that's a good thing since brand has already. I mean, I know about at your service at the property level, worked with them and had them for many years, but this level of collaboration, to me, is a necessary component. But is there anybody in market that's offering it that way? besides the Navis, and even I don't even think, if I remember Navis is to its full scale right now, they don't even really offer all of this integration either.
They're much closer now. They did some major upgrades to their architecture. So Navis, one of the things they had to go through was going to the cloud. So believe it or not, a lot of their tech was still not truly cloud-based. So there was some disparity in data across different centers and everything. This year they completed that, and so now they do the single source of truth work. And with that, they've quickly moved into the other spaces. They also, and again, I just like them as a company because they feel a lot like the types of companies I've built, which is solve problems and just keep solving problems. Right. They got their level 1 PCI certification, which that's a big deal.
That's
they do call recording.
Right.
Like that's not easy to get that certification. Stuart knows about this because he had to do stuff like this for other clients. You actually have to really think through how do you handle that. Yep. But yeah, they've moved into that, and then hasn't Sendine moved into that space at all, or with some of their CRM stuff? Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that they've moved into that.
They say that they have that functionality, but I have yet to see the crossover of its usability.
Okay.
Yeah, the different players who offer call center services, Lauren, what I'd recommend is,
what was Bob Post? Bob Post has got a company that does it too. It used to be called Think 5, right?
Yeah. Have conversations with them because everybody should be doing this, right? The types of questions that you commonly get on social, the types of questions you commonly get on email, etc., are the same types of questions you commonly get on voice, right? At least at level 1, it's the same stuff. So they all ought to be able to support this. And if they don't, you might be introducing them to a new revenue stream. So you should do that too. Because maybe they'll figure out, hey, we should be offering this because I love Navis. Navis is great. There should be more competition in the industry around this because I haven't seen it.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, this is. I know some people when they look at Navis, they get a bit of a sticker shock.
The surface is expensive.
Right.
Yes.
It's expensive
but the performance
until you understand. Well, until you understand what you're getting is a lot different. I mean, if you're setting out saying, "Oh, I want CRM," and your version of CRM is email. Yeah, they're going to seem expensive, but if you're actually looking to fundamentally,
or if you're just looking for a call center, it's about twice the price of some of the
Right. But if you're looking to solve the problem of a unified effort where you understand what's going on across all your contacts, there's not.
Yeah, they do a good job.
You got to piece it together, otherwise across multiple.
The other thing I really like about Navis, we've gone through the integration with several dozen clients with Navis, and we don't have we have a good relationship with Navis. We don't have any kind of agreement other than integrating our products, but they're one of the few vendors that comes to a client and says, this is how our product works. Here's the methodology. Here's how you're going to change how you do your business to work with our tool versus people trying to force their methodology into the tool. And so they come with a playbook, which when you apply their playbook with their technology, it yields a much better ROI because it starts you doing things like monitoring how well each individual reservationist is performing and weeding out the bad ones and incentivizing the good ones. It also it helps you on the outbound, and I think outbound calls is one of the most underutilized tactics in the hotel industry.
Everyone I know, though,
so much money from outbound.
Yeah, that went to outbound. Their revenue growth was insane.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Guess what? That person who called you and said, I need to talk to my husband or wife, and hung up, probably legitimately meant that. That wasn't just them blowing you off. So when you call them back and say, did you have a chance to talk to your husband or wife? Here's the deal right now. The rates are going up tomorrow. We want to get, that's effective. It's effective.
Yep.
I'll tell you something I did to argue my point with this. I did a real quick napkin math for the client. And what I said was, based on the little information you have about your current call center, if we just transfer that to a 20% conversion and let's just take your annual ADR, length of stay. So total cost per transaction kind of thing, or value per transaction. And then I went over and said, with the denial report, just let's take 1 month's denial report and take 5%. Okay. Just 5% of the denial report if you made an effort to get them back from whatever caused them not to book on their first connectivity. And I said, take the same number and do that. I said, this is your potential baseline guesstimate napkin math revenue that you'd be capturing by just taking my idea and putting somebody into a chair, giving them teeth to go over and push your departments around and collaborate and coordinate all this activity. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, just think about that for a little bit because you have the volume and the interest in it. But anyway,
but let's go even more important. The most important aspect of everything you do as a hotel is how you interface with your guest, because that's an opportunity to show hospitality. And so if you're not efficient, in fact, if you're sloppy in that area, you are hurting your bottom line so much. The negative KPI aspect of a single bad touch, especially an avoidable bad touch, has repercussions to your full lifetime value with someone.
I'm only laughing. I was absolutely, literally, non-ironically applauding that a moment ago.
For once, he was not ironically.
You could tell by the speed.
Exactly. Slightly faster than slow.
I actually posted an example of this on LinkedIn the other day. A non-travel industry friend of mine was telling me about this courtyard in Boca that he booked at, and the GM sent him an email saying, hey, looking forward to having you here. Hey, I'm going to be there on the day that you check in. Why don't you stop by, say hi? And the guy's like, are they doing this automated? And I'm like, I don't think so. Send me the email. And he sent me the email. It was a personal email.
Right.
Guess how many times my friend, oh, by the way, my friend was down in that area because he's a realtor and he landed a huge development to sell. So he was planning on being down in that area like 35 times over the next 7 months. He's now staying at that hotel every single time without question. And it's all because of that one little bit of effort that GM did. That is not standard. That's not standard Marriott. I mean, because I've stayed at courtyards and I've never seen that. That's a special GM. So I called them out on LinkedIn just saying, hey, you're doing it right. People notice it, to the point where he told me about it. The impact of that is substantial. Hospitality is so rare nowadays. Retail got rid of it. Right. With the end of commissioned employees and, going big box to where you literally get someone who doesn't care if you buy anything when you walk into a retail store these days. They completely got rid of it. Now they're getting devoured by Amazon. If you don't want this industry to be devoured by someone who can just commoditize everything because you abandon hospitality, it's a mistake. But it's also a huge opportunity because it surprises consumers because they don't get it anywhere else.
Right. Well, it's funny. I had this fight with a hotel once upon a time, a hotelier, not long ago, and we had this whole debate. And to tie this back to a topic that comes up again and again and again in the industry is the rising cost of customer acquisition. And we looked at things like their TripAdvisor scores, and we looked at things like what people were saying on social, and we looked at the reviews on Expedia and places like that, and tried to explain one of the reasons that your cost of customer acquisition is going up so much is because you have to attract people the first time, every single time, because once they come and stay, they never will come back.
Right.
You're doing the hospitality part so badly.
Yep.
Right? You're creating this awful experience. And so every guest has to be a new guest. In fact, it's best if they're a guest who's never heard about you in the first place.
Yeah.
Right?
That
is not a sustainable situation.
Yeah.
Right?
I had a meeting yesterday with a client. Well, it's a friend of a client's friend who has a business. We don't actually work with him yet, but just giving him some advice. He came to me asking me where he should spend his marketing dollars, and we sat down and started talking about the property and the challenges. And I pulled up TripAdvisor and started looking through the reviews, and there were so many reviews saying about unhappy stuff or grumpy stuff or stuff like that. I'm like, this is where your marketing dollars need to go, right here into your operations to fix this. There's nothing we can do to help you if you're not going to have a good product. And
by the way,
when Howard Schultz went back to Starbucks, this is one of my favorite stories, and it's obviously it's a restaurant, but it's very much customer service,
hospitality.
Yeah. When Howard Schultz went back to Starbucks, and you guys may remember what's this, maybe 8 years ago now, 9 years ago now, or something like that. But when he returned to Starbucks, people were complaining about the quality of the coffee. People were complaining about the quality of the interaction. And he literally stopped all marketing for Starbucks, 100% full stop, and dedicated all of that budget to staff training.
Yep.
All of it.
Smartest thing you do.
And it was the smartest thing you could do. It was absolutely the best thing we can do is teach people how to make a proper cup of coffee and teach them how to interact with staff and make guests.
Yep.
And clearly that's worked out pretty well.
Okay. I have a question on a left field, just for the fun of it. Do you think that printed cards welcoming you, I know, right? Printed cards from the GM welcoming you to their hotel with an amenity in the room is as effective as you would like it to be, or versus like a handwritten one? Or is it just
if it at least has a real signature on it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But
yes.
fully printed.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. And
I think it's better than doing nothing. But if you're going to go to that extent,
well,
actually, I don't think the extra little bit.
I don't think it's better than doing nothing. I actually think it points to the fact that you didn't do the right thing. Like it calls attention. I'm just saying there are certain times where I think nothing is better than doing something poorly. And like that's one of them. Now I like when I get the printed card for whoever's going to service my room saying, hi, I'm Mandy, I'm Bob, whatever. I'll be servicing your room during your stay. Let me know if you need anything. And that's printed. That I'm fine with because, that's I think it's a nice touch to put some human element to the person you're walking. You're going to pass that person definitely in the hall.
Yeah, right. My take on it is somewhere between the two of you on this one, right? I think it depends how it fits into the overall service experience, right? If you have this printed thing, let's take it the other way. Let's say you have the handwritten thing, and clearly somebody took the time to have the handwritten thing, and then the rest of the service doesn't live up to that. It doesn't matter.
Right. Well, right? Yeah, no matter what.
Well, and the reason I point that out is, in all likelihood, anybody who's going to take the time to do the handwritten thing is probably the kind of place that makes sure they take the time to do the other things well. If you do the printed thing, if that's a sign that you don't take the time to do the other things well, then it's going to hurt you. If it's a sign that you actually do that and also take the time on other stuff, then I don't think it has any negative impact at all. Does that make sense?
Yeah. In talking to this, Lauren, I came across a guy on LinkedIn because someone I knew liked his post. And actually what caught me was it was a video about cleaning your air conditioning units in your hotel and how there are companies that can clean them without taking them out of the room. And it was actually a video of it being done. And so I was like, what does this guy do? Because in his LinkedIn, it says, I own and operate hotels and I share creative business ideas. So I looked at who he is, and he's like a Choice owner. He owns a couple of Choice hotels. But he lit up this business, which is literally printed templates for, fun, nice things you can do for your guests. Like he has a We Screwed Up card. Which actually was really a nicely done We Screwed Up card. And it's kind of like a kit. It's called, his second business is called smartguests.com. And it's funny. I looked at it because I was like, oh, that's a neat name. And what it said it was Creative Hotel Tools. But actually what it is he owns some brands that he knows other owners and he knows the types of stuff they're looking for, and it's stuff like take the Sprite label off the Sprite bottle and put Holiday Inn Express label on it. Like it's things like that, but that's a guy who gets hospitality. It is sometimes the little things that go a long way. And when you are a brand, and if like he owns, like I said, choice stuff in a market that has a lot of choice stuff, and then also has a lot of competitive brands to choice, and they're all very similar. So how do you rise above? So I put a link up to it, and I just mentioned it because this is an owner who gets it. It's about hospitality. It's about personality. So I connected with him on LinkedIn, just saying, hey, I caught this. I like what you're doing. I look forward to seeing more of your content. And that was it. And, he just hit back saying thanks. And, but he's a hotelier. Right. That's a hotelier right there. Yes. That's someone who gets it.
And with some of his templates that he has like his key card, because I'm just looking at the website. I've never heard of this before, but it's great. He's got, like, for a little wedding, like a little insert in the key card holder, which has a photo of the bride and groom. He's got little personalized wrappers for candy bars and things like that, where so you can put it specifically for the name of that individual guest, but you could also use it for events and all sorts of other things, which is a great little. His
screw up card is we Twixed it. So after they fixed it, we Twixed it.
Oh,
you give Twixes with it.
Nice.
I mean, it's cute stuff, but
it's a great idea, though. It's a great
idea. And it is those little things that remind you of it. It's like, and I was going to say there's another angle to what I was asking about the printed card was the automated, not the automated, but the scripted call from the front desk as a follow-up to your check-in. I appreciate the effort of it being done. Like, now that I'm in the room, they're calling the room to make sure it is to your satisfaction and so forth. But the apparent, I'm saying this like I've said it 1,000 times before, dialogue.
Yeah, it needs to be personal.
It's kind of like personalization,
You can't train interest. And I see this a lot where you can tell the person you're talking to is going through the thing they were told to do, but they have absolutely no interest.
No interest in
you. And that's a tough thing. That's a different scenario. That's understanding an employee who's not right. Like, this isn't the right job for them.
Or not trained, or not incentivized and not given the value proposition, not told why. I don't think it's always the employee.
Yeah, no, I think sometimes a lot of times it's culture, right? It's sometimes. It's let us find the cheapest resources we possibly can to deliver the bare bones minimum service we possibly can, so that we can get the highest net operating income and free cash flow that we possibly can from this blocks of rooms. Right?
And going back to going back to Ed's buddy who got the note from the GM, and we said it so many times on the show about the good properties, you will see the GM walking around the property, right? And they're true.
You spent $5,000 in room revenue with this hotel.
Right. That's great ROI.
Since that email. The most important thing they can do. Hotel like $4,600 because the first day he was doing anyways. Now he stays solely with that hotel, and they've made to direct revenue like $4,600, and guess what? He's got like 3-4 more months of stays to go, and holy smokes!
And I bet if you go to that property, that GM's not sitting there looking at spreadsheets all day. They're walking around the property talking to the guests. They're an innkeeper.
They're an innkeeper.
And showing the staff how to interact with guests. And that's why the other staff members probably give a shit when they're picking up the phone and seeing how their room is.
And this is the one thing I do like about smaller properties, because, man, that's hard to do at scale, right? Like, I can't imagine how hard it is to be like MGM or the Venetian Palazzo, that you have more rooms than some of these brands have across hundreds of properties in a single building, right? So, I mean, and this is why I've always favored, I really like Hampton Inn, because I don't know if it's a specific regional trainer or if it is a Hilton standard, but man, Hampton Inn front desk people, if they don't have people around them, like if there's not a line, like you're just checking in and it's kind of slow, they chat you up. But they chat you up naturally. It's not like I'm chatting you up because the script says chat this person up.
Here's a list of topics for the day.
Right. I mean, but and that's easy to do. It's much easier to do at 100 rooms than it is at 400 rooms. But I've always been drawn to those types of hotels because I feel like you get you get that innkeeper type experience. Not to say now listen, I've been to some amazing big properties that I've gotten good experience from, and I appreciate how hard it is to do that when you're checking in 1,000 people today. But I do, like myself, my personal preference. I like the smaller hotel, real experience, and I'm surprised when I see brands like Hampton Inn's a huge brand. I've seen that consistently across every Hampton Inn I've stayed at. Is I've gotten that the front desk person is a chatty. They're like a Lauren. It's like I kind of expected that when Lauren was at hotels, this is how Lauren was. Like,
yeah.
Hey, I'm Lauren. I've been struck by lightning 6 times. How are you today? Check in times.
6 times.
I don't think that conversation gets people staying in your hotel. I think that's like, oh my gosh, that's like early checkout.
You're like, wait,
something like that.
Here? Like, here? Or
I gotta tell you, if of all things I miss the most out of not running a hotel anymore is the smell of your own lobby. I know it sounds really weird, but when it's your space and it's your hotel,
you really should have come to the restroom more often.
Yeah.
Well, it had a unique flavor to it. How can I say? But no, I mean, the flowers that we made arrangements, I always had fresh flowers by the front and the main entranceway. I always had, we always were very sensitive as to what things looked like. And to me, paint was a perpetual thing you did in a hotel. Everything was always there. I had a full-time painter all the time. Down hallways looking for nicks and cuts of anything, any room. It was always a paint review to it. To me, it's the easiest thing to do in a hotel is to make sure everything looks fresh.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things I miss it.
I want to go back to something that Ed said a moment ago. And it's funny that you said that, Ed. I drove my daughter cross country. We drove from New Jersey to Phoenix, and we stayed in Hampton Inns every single place we went. They were fantastic. Really? Really. They were great. I particularly like Hilton. I think they're crushing it these days. And Hampton Inn in particular is crushing it these days. Part of it's they got a whole bunch of new product. I mean, let's be fair. Some of it in that space is where you are in the product life cycle. But right now, I think Hampton Inn is absolutely crushing it. I have a question, though, because it comes back to Ed's point a moment ago. I bet every single one of us has an experience they would point to in an economy property where you went, that was really outstanding hospitality.
Absolutely.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, is there anyone here who has not had one of those?
Nope. I was renting a Raven with Robert on the last
hospitality
to go to in Mobile.
The hospitality has absolutely no difference, regardless of chain scale. Right?
No.
And
those are features and staffing levels and everything like that. But the actual, Stuart used the best term, innkeeper mentality, right? That one-to-one customer focus interest that defies any sort of branding or anything else.
So I bring this up for a reason. And the reason is because if they can do it, anybody can, right?
Oh yeah.
It's tough to scale, but I just did a look. I did a quick look. On Marriott.com, they list their convention hotels with 500 to 1,000 rooms. Marriott has 28 of these, right? So most hotels don't have to scale this. I mean, let's be fair. The number of hotels that have more than 500 rooms and things like that is not that big a number in real terms.
Well, I think the average hotel room or the average hotel
it's like 100 rooms or something like that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, realistically, scaling is very hard.
Yeah.
Well, most of the people who are watching the show, most of the people we talk to day in and day out, etc., don't have to worry about scaling it.
Right.
The economy guys can do it.
Yeah, but even if you are a big property, so there's a Hampton Inn here in Myrtle Beach. We've actually hired a couple of employees from there because they train them so well. But one of the things that I've learned from talking to their ex-employees is that they empower their staff, and it's a cultural thing, right? So Hampton Inn has this whole money back, no question guarantee thing. And literally, I asked them, I was like, what was the weirdest thing someone asked you to get money back for? And one of them said they came down and said there weren't enough waves in the ocean that day, and they gave them their money back. It's like they were empowered to do that. So, when the I don't know, I would probably question that specific money back. But the point is, each individual there at the front desk is empowered to make decisions at at a certain cost.
I have a very funny story on that. So certain hotels of ours, I subscribe to our notifications that the hotel gets because I just want to see what's happening. And the other day, it was a hotel in New York. It's one of the bigger hotels in New York. And I'm reading this guest feedback, and it was amazing because this hotel killed it. Like, it was this person's birthday, and the hotel got a birthday cake for them and had like set up some really special stuff. And like, so you're reading. So we always ask, what was great? What could we have done better? Right. And there's no buttons. It's just literally what was the highlight? What could we have improved upon? So the highlight, I was like, wow, like, I can't wait to call this director of sales and be like, holy smokes, did you see this? And then I read the what could we have done better? And I was like, holy smokes. Their main complaint was that the tissues weren't soft enough.
That's great.
And I'm like,
some people are never ever going to be completely happy.
Well, that's right. I said, this is my team. I said, first of all, we have to understand, we asked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so this person was so invested that they probably tried, like, what can I do to help this hotel? Yeah. You know what? Yeah, their tissues weren't as soft as they could be. But I looked at it through the lens of kind of like someone who I see thousands of feedbacks a day, and I'm like, man, even when you nail it.
Yeah, it's always
now. Wait, is the hotel going to change its tissues?
I haven't talked to the director of sales yet, but I will say, like, when you do, and so I've told Lauren and I've told Stuart about this, but we've actually started running sentiment analysis across the hotel's feedback, because we wanted to understand what really matters to someone, and we found some interesting stuff. So first of all, when someone's super happy and they're talking about anything that has to do with the business, which is the hotel, it's the people they talk about when they're happy. When they're at all dissatisfied, it's about the real estate. It's about like the room,
facilities, whatever,
facilities, things like that. And why we're looking at this is we're trying to think through, and actually very specific to Myrtle Beach. How should your marketing change seasonally? Because Myrtle Beach has very different experiences in the summer versus in the winter. And then also just what affects it. So first of all, everyone who's unhappy mentions something about check-in. Mm-hmm. It does not fail. It does not fail.
That's the tone for the whole vacation.
And we all know that check-in. The number one complaint in Myrtle Beach in the summer is obviously room not ready on time. But what we found is people with longer lengths of stay are less sensitive to it, where people with quick turnarounds are incredibly sensitive to it. So one of the insights we saw in that is if you're in a situation where you know you're not going to have your rooms ready, you're actually better off checking in your shorter length of stay guests, because they're the ones most likely to feel the most impacted by the delay. And your longer length of stay guests are a bit more forgiving of it, because you're going to have more time with them to course
trying to make it up. Yeah.
Right. But the reason we've been looking at that is so we can give advice on how to set expectations, what you can do operationally, because we do get just such a huge amount of feedback. And we get feedback that a lot of our hotels aren't asking for, because a lot of hotels are sending surveys that they're using to benchmark like bonuses and stuff, and that's all 1 to 5. How was the dining experience? 1 to 5. How was this? You're getting the answers that you know what the answer is just based on the question, right? Where we ask open ended, which is, what was the best part of your experience? Yeah. What could we have done better to serve you? And they're open text fields, so people can talk about whatever the heck they want. And then you can use AI to take that in and do sentiment analysis. And then, what we have that you also don't have in operational surveys, we also ask you for a photo. And so we've actually seen that the happier people are, it's a different type of photo you get than people who are really disappointed that still submit a photo. And in the photo itself, you can learn different things. And really it's just, there's a lot of interesting things we found through this. And it was a year of feedback that we used across 30 properties in Myrtle Beach that we used to kind of figure this out. We also found out they have an elevator issue in August, market wide. And I actually asked him
in August. I don't understand.
One of the top complaints for Myrtle Beach last August across all properties was about the elevator. So I asked Stuart, I'm like, what's going on
Oh,
with the
it's being
elevators? Being slow, being broken down, getting stuck, being hot, all this. And Stuart told me they only have one vendor that services all the elevators in Myrtle Beach.
So
and it's one
so it's
company.
not a capacity.
Wait, say that.
It's not capacity. It's okay. Yeah.
Well, the capacity is putting the strain on these elevators.
Yep.
You know, because Myrtle Beach, you can't go there in August. Like, it's crazy. So the elevators are getting used a lot more. So they're getting, broken.
So, hey, Stuart, just as a weird thing, because we're actually having some fun with this in the New York property we were talking about. Mm-hmm. That whole token thing on the stairwell is having fun. People are having fun on the 10th floor down.
Is it working?
It's working. They're actually liking the little token shit. We also gave when guest token stuff. And then also we're giving guests. Yeah. So, and the other is that we're giving tokens for quality. We're giving every guest that's arriving 5 tokens per day, and they hand it out to the engagements that they feel warrant the tokens. And we're trying to build that into their. Well, I'm trying to accelerate the team thing, culture thing, and it seems that the best way is to give them rewards. So each guest gets 5 tokens, but they also can pick up tokens on the floors to get stuff brought to the room, or we give them reward and stuff like that. We have a bunch of anything from protein bars and stuff like that. I almost said that word again. Stuff again.
I think it's too late. You can keep saying it.
You put the tokens on candy bar wrappers and dirty tissues and get them to pick up trash.
Hey, there's an idea. I got somebody at the door. Hey, I'm gonna bow out for just a second. I got somebody at my door and I'm by myself, so I will be back in just a moment.
Okay. But I mean, these like what Lauren's talking about. It's a good idea. Like gamification just works.
Well, and he took a negative and turned it into a positive. You know, with a situation where they have one elevator in this huge New York property, they knew it was going to impact guest satisfaction. So how do we flip this into something positive? And it sounds like he's done it. It's really good.
That's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, speaking of fun things you can do, Tim, your customer that used Flip2 for their anniversary. Yeah. So they did something no one's done before with our platform, which now we're recommending that everyone does. So as they were wrapping the contest, they started promoting that they were going to do a live stream announcement, like an award show style of who won the contest. And then they, from the rooftop, did a live stream where you could see
from the not just the rooftop, the cupola, which is such a cool spot in Charleston.
Holy smokes. Really. And she was all dressed up like an award show and had the envelope and everything. 2,300 views live of that live stream. From what I can see, it is the most engaging thing they've done socially. Like,
yeah, by far. And I want to be fair, they get good numbers to start with.
They get great numbers. I mean,
they get great numbers, but 2,300 live stream views.
19-room hotel, guys. This is a 19-room hotel.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's really strong.
Sorry. I forgot to mention the reason why I mentioned. So when I mentioned the Stuart was just because you probably have tons of kids and families that are showing up at the hotels. Make it like a game. See if they can beat their parents up to the room or something. And on the stairs, do the token things, and then they can redeem them for sodas, candies, whatever the heck they want, and see if you can bleed off some of the traffic off of the elevators. Is why I brought it up. Sorry, I didn't get to finish my statement on it. So.
That's really smart. I'm glad it's working. That's really cool.
Well, we'll see what happens. We're only doing the bottom 10 floors right now because anything past that, it turns into like, we're probably not going to really get them to go up and downstairs past 10 floors.
You're going to have to give them change clothes at the bottom.
Unless you get a bunch of...
and a defibrillator.
Right. Yeah, right.
Get the marathon conventions in there and you'll be okay. You're like,
well, because all the common floors are below 10, so anything above 10 is kind of like really not going to get them go up or down stairs just to end up getting them. It's got
all of us were at the Marriott Marquis. And they have like 30 elevators, 20 elevators, and like pretty substantial queuing system to make them like efficient. And still then there were times where the elevators, like, holy smokes.
It took a while.
And so like that's hard when you're at capacity. That's really, really hard.
Right.
Yeah, very much so. And this one has 38 floors, so it makes it even more fun. Sorry for down the tangent for me having to duck out for, but one thing I would bring up AI that you had mentioned earlier about you're looking at sentiment and so forth. I just got to share this really cool tool that's kind of having fun right now, and it's an AI-based tool, and it's for reporting for my GMs. And if they get to ask the question, they actually talk to it, and it'll say, like, so what's my website performance? And it'll pull up the information because I have the connect. It's called Crystal.ai.
Is it by Crystal Reports?
What?
Why is it called
No.
Crystal? Is it by Crystal Reports?
I have no idea. Yeah, it's Crystal. Well, it's Crystal.ai. And what's fun about it is once you connect it up to the programs, like your Facebook, your Twitter, it doesn't have a whole spectrum of them yet. Instagram, your analytics, they're going to blow into other stuff. But it actually allows the client to ask what they want to know about, rather than just giving. Because my other best platform to date is called Whatagraph, which is a visual representation that gets sent over to them. So people that like green is good, red is bad, gauge up, gauge down kind of stuff. It's a great visual look. But then now with this one, you connect all the things to it, and it's like they just go to the site and they either can type or they can talk to it and ask, so what's my best Facebook post so far? And it'll show it to them. What's my performance on my Facebook page look like so far month to date? And it'll show it to them. And it's just kind of neat. I mean, it's just they like it because going back to one of our earlier conversations, they don't want to get sitting at their desk all day looking at charts, reports, graphs, and all this other stuff. It's like, look, there's certain things that are a hot topic for them that day, and they just want to find out what that answer is. And so far, I haven't given it, the third property isn't ready for this yet, but two of the properties that I'm playing with it on, they like it. I mean, is it a game changer? No, it's just right now it's neat and it's just kind of fun.
I mean, this, not to get science fiction-y and all this other kind of stuff, because a lot of these things have been promised for a long time and we're a ways from it in practical terms. And by a ways, I mean, not this year and probably not next year and who knows the year after that. But I mean, that's the promise of all this stuff in the longer term is I'm going to alert you to the stuff you need to know about when you need to know about it. And I'm going to, give you the president's daily briefing when you first walk in on here's all the stuff you need to know about because it's important based on predictive algorithms, based on what the AI suggests, et cetera. But, that's something that we're not far from. The good GMs do, to go back to our hospitality discussion, do that today. They already know how to interrogate the data and know where they need to look because they've been walking around and talking to the staff, because they've been walking around and talking to the guests. They know where the hot buttons are every day. These tools are just going to make it easier for the good ones to be more efficient at doing that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's right now, like I said, it's a fun tool. It has limitations. It doesn't do it as naturally as you'd like it to do. You get tuned into what questions you can ask and how you need to ask them. Just like anything with any voice activation right now is how you ask is as important as what you're asking.
Right.
So it is in its early infancies of it, but from an impact to client perspective, they like it because sometimes they just want to find out a particular thing. If this is connected to it, this is turned into kind of their fun way of going. But of course, they show it off to anybody that they show it off to. Like, look at this. I can just go and find out what my traffic report is from analytics for month to date by just asking. And they want to brag about the fact they have this automated, not automated, but this voice activated tool that they can tap to. So I don't know. Just it's one of those fun things. Whatagraph is another great platform for generating great automated reporting. For these kind of same things. They're getting more robust in what they connect to as well and how they report. But they're also a great platform to use for those who enjoy those kind of reports that obviously they want to dig deeper. They're going to want to talk to you. Obviously, they're going to want different summaries compared to what these can generate. But for just general awareness reporting, these things are automated and they're awesome.
Yeah, I think it's touching on something that I actually wrote an article for FocusWire this week about voice, and I think we're on the cusp of a fundamental change in human-computer interaction. Yeah. I think it's going to go away from tactile input into this conversational, voice-generated, input-output kind of scenario. So we'll probably still have keyboards in some degree. They'll probably be on the screen more and more. But I think we're going to get to the point, if you look at Google Duplex and how sophisticated that already is, and that's coming out this year, we're not far away from everything being two-way conversation.
The next hospitality app is going to be the app that interacts with Google Duplex so that the overwhelming load that comes in from Google Duplex doesn't kill you as a hotel.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
by the way,
you're going to build apps
to receive
to have
Duplex calls.
a conversation with Google Duplex, so that way your service agents are talking to people.
So first of all, I think you're right, Ed. I also want to say I agree completely with Stuart. I don't know if I share this publicly. I don't know if people know this. I think you guys know this, but I don't think I've talked about it on the show before. I wear hearing aids, right? I'm hard of hearing. I wear hearing aids. I don't have them in right now, otherwise I would show. But my hearing aids are Bluetooth enabled. They connect to my phone, and I get alerts to things periodically that only I know about, right? So like when I have a phone conversation, I just start talking to people because I don't have to take my phone out of my pocket at all because it's all connected via Bluetooth. I get alerts to certain things that I've told I want audible alerts, but they happen inside my head and nobody knows.
Lauren has
That's what the doctor told him. That's what the doctor told him to say. That's not true.
Right, no,
Lauren
It's the voices in the head.
Lauren has 14 different alert assistants in his head at any time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I got lots of little voices telling me this all the time.
Have you seen the movie Split? That's actually based on Lauren.
But
Yeah, exactly.
The reason I bring this up is because, okay, a lot of the times when I have to just deal with hearing aids and things along those lines, they're to get me back to regular human function, right? They allow me to hear like in crowded rooms and stuff like that. The flip side of that is, in some cases, because of the way things are augmented or the like, I'm actually doing better than what other people can do because I'm getting notifications of things, or I'm learning things, or I'm hearing things that nobody else can hear.
Right.
Not to be confused with the voices that are always going on in the background in my head. Yeah. But it's the kind of thing that now that I have it, it's like when people talk about those magical experiences, the first time you encounter a smartphone, the first time you encounter a watch, a smart watch or things like that, until you experience it, you don't realize how much better it can be, right?
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to have had experienced it the way I did. But the flip side
This thing, is kind of a bummer.
right? But the flip side is, now that I have it, I'm like, this is great. At some point, everyone will want this.
Yeah.
Right?
We're going to have augmented technology for sure at some point.
Yeah.
Visual and audio.
And here's the thing, and
I don't think we're that far from it.
Futurist in me. The futurist in me says the idea of the voice input is good. It has user problems.
Of course it does.
Listen, I was an early tester on the Amazon Echo. I early test anything that comes out that's new to consumer. I'm usually the first one to get on it.
That's really fun. The way you said that sounds like Jeff Bezos called you up and said, "Hey, will you test this product for me?" Well, you actually meant Ed when it first
Ed designed it. Okay.
No.
He
I actually
came up with the idea.
You had
I
a
had
free
it
launch.
before it was in general release. I had the Google Glass before it was in even the beta release. What else? DirecTV streaming service I had before it was in general release. I mean, I pay attention to these things because I want to understand what's it going to do to our behavior. And one of the things I will say about voice that's problematic is the privacy aspect of it. Absolutely. So I can type while I'm talking to you. I can take a phrase you say that I don't understand and quickly type it. Where I think voice is going to get really interesting is when the technology. So there's already early technology that can read the voice in your head. I don't know if you guys know about that.
Yep.
When it skips the actual speaking and goes to that is when voice will catch, like it will change everything. There will be no other inputs. It will be the voice in your head that translates to the device to get things going. And I know this sounds super futuristic, but believe it or not, the voice in your head is not that hard for devices to catch. Right.
You look at artificial limbs right now; they're already doing it, right? Where they're interpreting thought patterns to do the mechanics of the movement for artificial limbs.
And I say that because when I was testing the Amazon Echo, and I would just come in and I'd say, Alexa, play this playlist. I would hear people giggling around me,
right?
And it kind of woke me up to, and I have someone in my my book club. And I do book club because we don't actually have books. We just call it book club. It's a bunch of guys who meet for coffee every morning. But one of the guys there will quietly will quietly say things to his phone. And I look at it and I say, listen, so it got him. Like, he loves the voice stuff, but it's also just socially awkward. Right. It really is. It's socially awkward that you're around people and you're talking into a device. And that it will definitely soften as voice gets more prevalent and generations come up with it. But it's still not going to change the fact that what has been for years a private interaction between you and your computer and the people tracking you now is far more public.
Does this mean that you're going to have your Boston Dynamics dog? Are you going to have your Boston Dynamics dog soon? Or are you going to buy the first one?
No way. No. And those by the way, scary. You got to stop kicking robots, man. They're going to remember this.
By the way, I completely agree with you. I want to be really clear. The stuff that I'm hearing when I'm wearing the hearing aids, only I hear. Right. So
right. Which I'm
not talking about the input side. Right. I'm talking about the output side.
But when we talk about voice, we're talking about voice. You have to remember that voice as an input is not preferred. It's been around forever. It's been fairly good forever. The thing is it's still it's weird. You're taking what's been a very private interaction. And you're making it no longer. I mean, that means people around you know what you're doing on your computer, where previously it was only the large corporations.
But I think it's contextual, right? I mean, I've seen an increase in the number of people that are dictating, essays, dictating emails, stuff like that. But you probably wouldn't do that if you were sitting on the train. But if you're in your office and the door's closed, you probably would. So
right. But
unfortunately, people do it on the train.
They probably do.
If you look at the explosion of internet time. The explosion of internet time is not in the places where you think it is. It is. It's while you're on the train. It's while you're waiting for an elevator. It's while you're doing. Internet has moved itself. Discovery has moved itself into these downtime aspects of our life, and that's why it's gone through the roof. Well, the problem is voice as a input does not lend itself to fitting in that spot, and that's the spot that's the most valuable.
But I don't think the limitation is because of the perception of someone else hearing. I think it's because the technology hasn't been good enough for the utility. Like if I ask Alexa a question 6 out of 10 times, it probably doesn't answer the appropriate way that I want it to.
Right. But what I'm saying is when you really need to be concerned about voice eating your world is when voice isn't voice.
Right.
It's
just how to do it.
Oh, I could not agree more.
Because everything else.
Hold on, Ed. Hold on. I understand what you're saying. The technology exists today. Look, there's my all-time favorite quote. I use it all the time. Is William Gibson, the author, right, the science fiction author, who said the future's already here. It's just not evenly distributed, right? So what you're talking about exists today, but that's not going to happen for a while. Whereas voice works today. And where we're going to see the biggest explosion in voice today, you're absolutely right. This was just in the Mary Meeker report. There's not growth in internet usage at the pace that there used to be because most people are on the internet already. 75% of the people in this country have smartphones already. There's not as much growth potential there.
Right.
Where the next big growth potential is going to come from is when we get to the things where people, when we have, whether it's self-driving cars or whether it's transportation purely as a service, and I don't have to drive anymore. And that's going to happen way before we go from brain to text interfaces.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Right.
And I'm going to be sitting in a private car compartment, and I'm going to talk to my phone and listen to my phone with no problem at all.
And that will be impactful.
That's going to happen immediately. Like, I don't know if it's 2 years out, 5 years. I always my joking line
I think it's
is
10-year horizon.
Yeah, right. My joking line is always 4 years from now, because what I mean is it's not going to be in the next year or two, and it's not going to be 10 years away, but we just don't know where the number is. Right.
And the reason I like to bring it up is the things you should be doing to be prepared for this new wave is make sure that you're the answer to questions.
That's exactly right.
That people 100%. Are asking. But that does not mean put voice control in your rooms. Like, that does not mean do those things.
Well,
if you want
I think it
to
depends
because
on
you
your
like
phone.
it, if you want to because you like it and you're sure you can deliver it well, then go ahead.
but the challenge
However,
is
just remember my big warning I give everyone: you are fundamentally changing the privacy relationship of your room.
Sure.
But as long
So
as you
you
disclose
need-
that, put it
and
on
you
mute
need-
by default, let
Yep.
them choose.
Right, but
Well,
that's the
and-
important thing is because here's the thing: they all log to server. If they're listening, they're logging to server. If you thought people got weirded out with Cambridge Analytica, which, by the way, I mean, wasn't a huge breach or anything, wait till the evil that is done with the fact that the devices that are listening to us constantly, get that data.
Ed is
in
going to show up
hands.
with a foil hat someday. Ed's going to
I'm
show up
telling
with
you,
a foil
man,
hat
and
someday.
we are
No.
going to miss you when you
Well-
end up off the grid in Montana.
okay.
Listen,
Let's bring this back
We'll
to the
send you
hoteliers.
postcards
Okay,
to the
yes, let's do
Dropbox,
that.
and you can pick them up somewhere. But
But bring this back to the hoteliers, though, right? Because we were talking about this hospitality before, and how you engage with the guests. The real challenge, I think, is one. It's that intersection of how people are behaving at home, right? Because they have an Alexa or a Siri or Google Home, whatever the case may be, and they've got all these skills and intelligence and personalization and stuff built into that platform, and they want that when they travel, right? So, since I'm an Android user and have a Google Home, there is a lot of play. It understands if I ask it a question versus my wife, it knows the voices, it gives different responses to the same questions. Really interesting stuff.
Right.
But also, when you're in a hotel room, and let's say you have a family, now Ed might not do this because he doesn't care if his family wakes up when he wants to go ask for something. But other people might be interested in, hey, voice isn't the best way. So again, like Tim, he's hearing things. His input is voice, but he may need to interact by text or gesture. Who knows, right? So all of a sudden, those different layers of platforms being able to deal with what's good for them versus all these different kind of things it's kind of omni-channel cubed, right?
And
which
and
is
that's
not
the
easy
thing
for
to
a hotel.
understand is as human beings we have now multiple ways to communicate, and they're favored in different situations.
Absolutely.
And understanding that and understanding how it's used, you can stay ahead of it. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that the answer is like dive in and we have Google, Amazon, and Siri in every room. Like, that's a poor investment. I'm just going to say it now.
Agreed.
I don't think anybody would necessarily disagree with that generally, Ed. I mean, the point I was trying to make as somebody who's dealing with this, and lives with this every day is exactly what Robert's saying. You pick the interface that makes the most sense for the context that you're in, and that's what people do today. That's what they're going to do today.
And that's why I'm a fan of Hilton. Bring your own device.
Right.
Oh.
Well, I think that's a great strategy. But I mean, I talk to my phone where it makes sense to. I don't talk to my phone where it doesn't make sense to. But I get to listen to my phone all the time, and that's a life-changing experience, not just because I hear as well as I used to, but because I actually can do things better than I used to be before I could do that all the time, right?
Well, okay.
By the way, it's personal, though. Okay.
We're after 1 o'clock. Unfortunately, I got to roll because I got to
late, and you're leaving early.
All right, Tim, let me ask you one question real quick. What do you think is going to be the number one giveaway at HITEC this year? There's always a favorite thing that gives away at HITEC. What do you think it's going to be?
It's this right here.
Is it that?
I agree.
I
agree completely. I absolutely agree with Stuart.
I agree.
All right, Mr. Tim, for those who want to know more about you and Tim Peter Associates, where can they find you, sir?
TimPeter.com or at TCPeter on Twitter.
And Mr. Tim, I'm sorry we're not going to be able to spend much time at HITEC or at any at all, actually.
Unfortunately, I hope
and if you think there's a hot list, if there's as an offer, if there's any hot list of anything you want me to grab for any reason, other than the wonderful article booklet from Mr. Stuart Butler, just let me know, and I'll run to the booth and pick it up along with any Chaucer I may have.
If anyone's giving away a 2019, Audi S4. I'm all over.
All right.
Oh,
I'll be there. I'll put your name in. I'll put your name in.
okay.
Actually,
Now wait.
That's the car I drive, an 18.
Really?
I have an 18 S4. It's an amazing car.
Well, I drive the A4, but mine's a couple years older, and I'm not in the market yet because we got to get the wife a new car first. But
I drive a 15-year-old car, and I'm happy.
I will never. I got to tell you, I loves me some Quattro. I think that's the most underrated car technology in the world, and
Wait, we've got to do Stuart's promotion though. If you go to the fuel travel booth at HITEC.
Stuart's doing a kissing booth at the booth. Stuart will kiss you for free at the booth.
I thought you aren't doing the same day Tesla Model 3 delivery to the show where they just walk outside and get their car. You aren't doing.
We're not allowed to do it anymore.
The valet parking.
Too disruptive.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Damn. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Mr. Tim,
I got to roll, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Tim. Always a pleasure.
Weekend. Enjoy HITEC. Don't forget to take your hydrate. We'll leave it at that. Hydrate appropriately every evening and every morning. All right.
And we have your credit card number, right? Already.
Yeah.
That would be.
You're covering the tab.
Hydration.
I have no idea what anybody's talking about there. I gotta go, guys.
Bye, Mr. Tim.
Have a great weekend, guys. Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, just to be clear, hydrate means water-based, not alcohol-based. That is not hydrate.
That's water in
potato. I mean, come on. Hey, I have this. I want before we jump over to news items because it'd be unfair to go over and have Robert have done all that work to put.
We don't have to. We don't have to do news items.
Well, but one thing I want to throw into, I have a question. So I'm keynoting over at CoHost at the end of the week, and it's about leadership and technology. And I thought for something for fun and to make them totally feel uncomfortable was for them all to take out their smartphones, unlock them, and hand them to the person next to them, and let them sit like that for like 5 minutes.
No.
Holy shit.
That is a very bad idea.
Is that going to happen? No way.
Why?
They won't do it.
People go to the messenger and see who they're messaging and what they're messaging. God,
they don't necessarily touch them. It's just hand it away. It's not in your control anymore.
I think it'll make everyone very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
that's the idea.
And success.
Why don't you have them take off all their?
Wait.
Why don't you have them take off all their clothes first? Yeah.
What's the point?
The mirrors of technology in our everyday life. No. Not even close. Not even close. The idea that our technology is so married to our daily culture. How can you try to segment leadership from technology if you can't even separate it from your own life?
Except
what?
The pictures.
I would say
the pictures is what everyone's going to go to. They're going to go to the picture app.
No. I'm not asking them to look at their phones.
Doesn't
As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even know whether. But I don't even know whether or not to even have them unlock it. I don't even know how to have them unlock it. The actual idea of their phone not being in their possession is the biggest point I want to make.
Well, then if you want to make that point, ask them to put their phones on the floor under their chair.
It's not even the same. It's in the control of somebody else that's the uncomfortable part. Even if it's them sitting next door. It's the distraction of, it's still there. I mean, it's not, I'm in control of it underneath my seat or in my purse or whatever. It's I'm not in control of my tech right now. And it's out of my hands.
So is that the point you're going to make? Is that none of you are in control of your tech?
No. My idea, my main purpose to this is that if we're asking the discussion of how technology and leadership work together, you have to first have to understand what technology in your life means first, and then understand whether technology amplifies or diminishes your ability to lead. Because if you're not in control of your own technology in your own life, you can't be in control of technology for leadership.
Okay, my recommendation, as opposed to asking them to do that,
I'm legitimately asking the question.
Would maybe give them options. Would maybe give them options of would they prefer to hand their phone locked, or I don't know, to take off all their clothes.
The unlock or lock is not the lock to unlock is not really the way we're.
Well, no, but if it's locked, it doesn't really matter, right? Because
I got a room of alphas. I got a room of young kid alphas that are all thinking they're on top of the freaking world. They're in control of their destiny, their life, their direction.
Yeah.
And so
glad you're there, to usher them.
Oh yeah, but you can ask questions of how many people.
I'm a middle-aged, overweight white dude sitting in front of 300 young. I am already in control of the world. You can't teach me nothing, grandpas. Okay.
Okay.
And I want them to understand that the world is not under control, that they have no real purpose other than the idea of what they think it is. But
so it's not a motivational speech.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be motivating them.
Breaking them down before we build them up.
I'd like to start by saying,
I think if your job is to get them uncomfortable and thinking about how attached they are to their phone, that's going to be very effective. But it might have a lot of side effects that are
well, first off, as soon as I ask this to be done, and I'm probably not going to ask them to unlock it because really, I want to go for the uncomfortable factor. I don't want to go for the scared factor. But to hand off the phone just for a few minutes, I'm not going to have their attention for those couple of minutes because they're going to be distracted. And that's the point of
I don't think you need to deliver on it, though. I think if you imply, I think if you say, all right, everyone pull out your phone, unlock it. Okay, in a moment, I'm going to ask the person next to you to take your phone or you to hand it to them and look through your photo gallery and just watch the reactions and then just say,
okay, I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
And I
then
think
you eliminate
and I think you can frame it by how many people would be willing to give up their technology or their phone or whatever for a day versus not eating for a day. Or so, I mean, you can probably frame it in different sorts of comparative sorts, and there will be a lot of people who won't. Yeah.
If you're looking to creep these people out, why don't you just stand at the entry to the room and just give a 20-second hug to each person?
I was going to do that at the end. See, I was going to when I did the next session in the afternoon, which was the Shark Tank.
Maybe
I was just
nuzzle into their neck a little.
Little this, little that.
That's it. Really, like,
and all the people that are small enough, I'll just pick up and give people a bear hug, that kind of thing.
Wait, but that's a great example. You can say, which would you rather do? Give the person on each side of you, a 20-second bear hug, or let them have your phone unlocked for 20 seconds. And I think people are going to go for the bear hug.
Seriously, right? Bear hugs everywhere.
Everything.
Bear hugs everywhere, right?
So I think you can wind up. I think you can wind up doing little, hypotheticals as opposed to actual.
Yeah. I think the threat of it without the delivery is probably safe.
I like your idea. I mean, it just. I want to try to make them. I want to get them off center. They're in a structured pre-programmed. What's the next session? Let me look at the agenda. Peek at my phone when I get bored with what's being said. What am I asking? We know the culture of these things. And I want 35 minutes of undivided. I hadn't thought of that attention.
Yeah, I think you could do it. You could do it and then say, all right, now everyone turn the phone off and put it on the floor because I don't want you distracted for the rest of this talk.
And you know they're not going to be. They don't do it on an airplane and their life's in danger. I mean, what the hell? I mean, of course, they don't even know how to go and put their life vest on.
Or even better, ask them to. What you could do is say, here, unlock your phone, hand it to the person next to you, and then your next slide can be some sort of website that they should go to download some software.
Okay, we're not going to the terror factor, but you understand my. I hope my point of it is that I want to keep them perpetually off center. Because that's the only way they're going to listen to what's being said. If it's just one slide PowerPoint after another, which I'm not even using PowerPoint, it's 35 minutes. 35 minutes, first off, is not even enough to say hello in my world, and you know that. So it's like, how fast can I get to the point, make the point, and get past to the conclusion? It's just that's my concern, is to keep it at a pace that keeps them at the end of 35 minutes going, holy shit, what just happened? Was that good? Did I get something out of it? Or what's the next thing? That's what I want. I want that I got something out of it kind of mentality. So that's why I thought about doing stuff like this.
I think it gets some thinking for sure. And if that's your goal, I think it was.
It is. It's just to make them off center. But anyway, I just wanted you guys' opinion. I trust your opinion. If you thought it was an absolutely horrendous idea, like Mr. Ed tends to think it might be a little horrendous, I am going to take it under advisement.
Hey, I gotta go in a sec. Can I do a shameless plug?
Yes,
please.
I don't know if you've seen this. So we got together with these weirdos over at Flip2, and
what?
Flip2. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Flip off. Oh no,
yeah. Flip off. I heard the Jersey company.
They're great guys. This is the second study we've done with them, and we also brought in the PMS Stay in Touch to do this study. So we've done a couple of consumer studies in the past where we looked at behavior and what makes how they make their decisions about which hotels to pick. But this time we decided to go at the relationship between the vendor and the hotelier and see, when it comes to choosing technology and using technology in the industry, where there's alignment and where there's not alignment. And we learned some really interesting things. So it's a 28-page study. It's packed full of awesome data and stats from
colors.
Several hundred hoteliers and vendors. And we are going to be giving this away at our booth at HITEC. The only place you can get this right now is at HITEC. We're going to come out with a version 2 later on, but this is an exclusive limited edition where if you go to
signed by Stuart Butler.
Autograph?
Wait, I was going to say, will you be there? Will you and Ed be there to sign it?
If you mention the podcast or this live show, I will gladly sign it.
So they're going to mention the podcast.
Yeah, probably. I'm kidding. This gets way more views.
Yes, no one views the podcast.
I'm solid on that one. I'm solid on that one.
All the hosts on this show follow the podcast. That may be the only people who do, but
hey, we get thousands of downloads a week, my friends.
That's right.
So this we're at booth 1133, and I want to say, stay in touch. Don't quote me on this. Is 1003 is their booth. So either one of our booths are going to be giving these away. But first come, first serve. We've got 200 printed. So as soon as they're gone, never to be printed again.
Okay, so one we'll definitely get a signed copy of that one. But the other is I was going to do a live show from the booth with you guys, if that was okay. Stuart,
sure.
Before we get there, I was going to make sure that. Yeah. And the other was, and I just went blank on it. Oh, I got asked out of the blue question, what is the favorite PMS system? That they use.
Oh man, that's a loaded question because I work with so many of them. I can't. I could probably tell you my least favorite, but I would probably be in legal trouble if I did that. I don't know. I feel like there's two types of PMSs right now, right? I'm going to be a politician, not really answer. I'll answer indirectly. There's the old guard, right? There's the established legacy server-based solutions, which, and I would put folks like Springer Miller and Maestro and, some others at the top. Agilysys maybe as probably the best in that bunch in terms of product and, more importantly, in service. But then on the other side, you got a lot of these up-and-coming kind of smaller ones. We worked closely with StanTouch. Obviously, they did the study with us, and folks like Streamline in the condotel space. And they're cloud-based and great, and they got good business model, good service, but they're not fully featured as some of these old ones. So I think if you're a sophisticated property that has a complex business, and you're doing, you got on property, amenities that you're monetizing, things like that. It's just a bigger operation. I think honestly there isn't a cloud-based solution that does a good job yet. They don't exist. So I think we're in this weird kind of limbo between, good functioning products that are feature rich and new technology that takes advantage of the changes, the innovations over the last 10 years. And either the old guys have to speed up, or these new guys have to figure out how to get a mature product faster. So
yeah, well, and even for the big guys like Oracle, that's a problem, right? Because on their legacy platform, they've got thousands of interfaces. They don't have those thousands of interfaces on the cloud platform. That just doesn't, like everything else, it just doesn't translate over. So
I will say this though, I don't really have a favorite PMS, but we just launched our integration with Springer Miller on a week and a half ago for this group of 14 properties, and I've worked with a lot of PMSs over the years. Those guys have been better than any I've worked with in terms of delivering what they said they were going to deliver when they were when they said.
Now,
they
is this
we saw that back at Easy Yield too. We did a lot of partnerships with Springer Miller, for pretty big customers, and they were technically on par with Micros. I mean, because say what you will about Micros, if you're willing to pay, you'll get the integration, and the integration will be solid. It'll work.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be willing to pay, and the cost is great. The difference is Springer Miller, I had the same experience that I had with Micros as far as quality, except, they were actually interested in building something that was a benefit, and invest in it.
Yeah, because they're looking out for their clients, which some PMSs are not looking out for their clients. They're looking out for their profit. And Springer Miller definitely has shown us from the beginning. And I met them at HITEC last year was when I introduced myself to those folks. And it's been really interesting to see them learn about our products and how can our products help their clients, not what are you going to steal from me? What business? That a lot of PMSs are real defensive, and they've been very, very open, which has been great to see.
Yeah, Hey, gentlemen, I don't mean to cut this short. I took a call for a second there that I actually have to call back. But I will see you all at HITEC. Looking forward to it. Hopefully you'll join me on Monday night. That should be a fun group of people that we're
You're
putting
asking
together.
everyone listening as well? You just put out an open invitation.
Yeah, why not?
Come on in. Come on in.
Everyone's paying for themselves. I'm just saying.
It's true. You can be
No.
presence. That's
Tim's credit card's on file. I think we're
That's
okay.
funny.
I believe that's
Well, if you guys get in
everyone-
early, I'm going to be at the Marriott Marquis around probably 2 p.m. watching the England game because there's this thing
All
called.
right.
Ah.
Right.
Oh,
What?
you've got a conflict.
Mr. Ed,
Yeah.
flip
Thank you.
two. All right.
Flip two.
Talk to you soon.
See ya.
Flip two.
All right.
Bye.
Oh yeah,
Mr.
so
Stewart?
Stewart's going to be conflicted during this whole. he's
I'm
gonna
going to be very distracted. Yeah. Luckily, England's playing on Monday before the show starts, so England don't play again until the weekend. So that's
Oh,
good.
okay.
But I will be watching
Fortunate
the
timing.
scores.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That
been a
could be really
riveting,
bad, yeah.
riveting World Cup so far. We've had a 5-0 win, someone win in the 89th minute, and I just looked, and Iran just beat Morocco in the 96th minute. And anyone that knows soccer knows they
Yeah.
only go for 90 minutes, so
Yeah.
that was
Right.
pretty impressive. So
They
Wow.
must
I
have
also heard
some
the story about
intense
the
penalty
story
time.
about
it was an own
Well,
goal
that-
too, own goal in the 96th minute. So someone
Own
is
goal. Oh wow.
and it's a shame because you read the story, the backstory of the Iranian team, and about their ability not to have sponsorships, their ability not to even get equipment, and just
Yeah,
weird
right.
things like that. That are just like
Yeah.
it's amazing how politics.
But
get in the
they
world of
overcame
things
the
like this.
mighty Morocco. Obviously,
Actually,
Yeah.
just a quick note on soccer or football. Now, Stuart, is it still football to you, even though you're still over here?
yeah,
doing soccer?
internally, even when I say soccer in my head, the voices are still saying football. So
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
I figured.
All right.
The interesting thing is it's the world's most global game because anybody can play it, right? All you need is a ball. Yeah, the equipment cost and everything is so inexpensive, and fundamentally in the U.S. it hasn't because it's a rich person's game.
although
which is,
I've
which
read
is odd.
stats that say there's more kids playing soccer in the U.S. than any other country in the world because of the population and how it's
Yeah.
taken off.
But then they all
But then they
all
leave
stop,
and go to where the money is, in the big three
Right.
sports.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Mr. Stewart, I
Yes,
know that
sir.
you have to duck as well. So, where if people want to find more about Fuel Travel, where can they find you, sir?
Yeah, you can find us anywhere online at Fuel Travel. So fueltravel.com is our website. On Twitter at Fuel Travel. You can look at Fuel Travel on Facebook. And then you can get the podcast at fueltravel.com/podcast. And then we'll be at booth 1133 if you want your copy of the tech study. It's some really interesting stuff. I'll email you guys a secret copy. Don't tell anyone.
Ooh,
But yeah, if
excellent.
you
Thank
guys want a printed copy, we're giving those away at HITEC next week.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to be able to spend some quality in-person time with you for sure.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Awesome stuff.
Good to see you guys again.
Very
Mr.
good.
Robert, do you want to hit any news thing, or you just want to call it a day?
We don't have. I mean, we can hit the rut row, which was the only one, which was a really off the wall one, which I thought Fuel Travel may want to start doing this as an interesting thing to extend your length of stay. Where actually Missouri has something called hotel influenza, and they pay you $3,500 to catch the flu.
Say what?
Say what? Yes. So what this hotel is, it's basically a research hospital, and they want people in a controlled environment where half the guests who come in, and you stay for a couple weeks. You come in, half the guests get the flu because you're exposed to it, and the other half get like some sort of placebo. Yeah, you don't necessarily get it. But anyway, I thought that was a very interesting sort of necessary business model, because it's fascinating from the research perspective, where how do you really look at different strains of flus and their impact on people, and you want it over time and the entire life cycle from exposure to conclusion of the symptoms and getting over it, and the various treatment methods. There's a place they call hotel influenza. So I'll put the link out here, and for people who want to either get the flu because they feel they want to really test this. I don't know what happens if you've taken the flu shot or not, but yeah, if you really want to do that, there you go. Or for hotels who are looking to get into, a different strain of medical tourism, or different ways perhaps. Yeah, somehow, I don't know, maybe you can get some sort of opt-in where you say, yes, we expose you to the flu, and they just say, yes, that's fine. And part of your privacy conditions when they're either logging to the site, reserving, checking in, something like that. So you've disclosed it to them, and then you can do that. And wow. So just a little fun thing.
That's bizarre. So with all the appointments that you have and anything, are we going to be able to spend some time together, or is it just going to be passing down the hallways as we walk around?
No, I will be around and about. And so, yes, actually, I may, based on an email that I just got, have more flexibility than I planned on, because a client who really wanted me to do a bunch of stuff is now saying, oh, wait a second, no. They've had a little board meeting and they're going a different direction as an organization, which I hate when that happens.
When that happens. Damn, alternate direction stuff. Well, Mr. Robert, if people want to know more about you and Rock Cheetah, where is it that they can find you, sir?
rockcheetah.com or at Robert K. Cole on virtually all social media platforms.
Awesome. Mr. Robert, always a pleasure. For those who want to have a replay of this show and show notes and links to all the amazing articles that we did not talk about today, which is really bizarre because there really were some pretty fun stuff that you had in there, you can go to hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/149, which is the episode number of this show, or to hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/live, which is a link to all of our shows going back all 149. We're coming up on our 3rd year anniversary on show 152 or something, like 153. August 3rd, I think, is what I calculated out as being our 3-year anniversary on the show. So we're coming up on our 3-year mark of a perpetual every week show. So it's been a great track record. So that being said, thank you everyone that watched us on Facebook Live and also on YouTube, as also onto Webinar Jam, our base platform that we do show onto. Episode 150 will be next week. How I'm going to do it, I have no idea yet, because as far as I know, I might actually be on stage at that time at Alhoa. So I'm trying to figure out, Mr. Robert, I'll probably talk to you about it a little bit as well, as to whether or not, even just to be able to make sure the show stays consistent, that we do it. We will be doing live coverage of HITEC and Rock during the course of next week. It will be live on Facebook. That as we come up live, we'll just be doing it from there. So be watching for that for our Facebook followers on the page to see us post live. We'll make as early an announcement as possible so you can kind of catch it. If not, it, of course, will be recorded in there to go back to if you'd like to look at it. So until next week's show number 150, thank you as always, Mr. Robert, for the time for putting the topics and then the information together, and for participation. Always. Thank you.
Very good.
And to everyone else,
see everyone next week. See everyone else next week at HITEC or Rock.
HITEC.